I'm very excited to be talking on the Money Tree Investment Podcast to Suze Orman. Suze Orman is probably America's most recognized expert on personal finance, best-selling author. You've seen her all over the place. Now, Suze, one of the things I know that you have focused on in your career is the issue of women and investing. And I have to share with you that, well, I sort of have done that too, because when I started as a financial advisor, I was partners with my mother, who was a financial advisor as well. And in fact, she learned it from her grandmother, who was one of the first, from her mother, my grandmother, one of the first women to be licensed as a stockbroker in America. So tell me, what is it that today makes men and women different in terms of how they invest?
Yeah, it's not just how they invest, it's how they handle money in any way, shape, or form. And what the purpose of money is to a woman versus what the purpose of money is to a man. The big difference between the two is that it's a woman's nature to nurture. She has the ability to give birth, and she has the ability to give, to feed that which she is given to in most cases. So a woman will take care of everybody, her spouse, her parents, her children, her employers, her employees, her brothers, her sisters, her aunts, her pets, and her plants before she will take care of herself. In a woman's mind, the main reason to make money is to take care of her family. The reason that most women are in charge of the household expenses and men usually are in charge of investing is because the house holds everything that a woman loves, especially single mothers. The only thing that matters to them is their kids, period. And that's, even more so because they feel like because they're not married or they don't have a male or a partner in the situation that they're depriving their children of things that they really need, like, other father figure. Mm-hmm. And so women are very, very different. And the best way that I can summarize it for you is that men will not even ask for directions. That is true all over the world. So I personally call men financial fakers. They think they know what they're doing. They act like they know what they're doing when it comes to money. But where did they get their information from? John, who got it from Joe, who got it from Jim, who doesn't know anything, which is why we were able to witness the Bernie Madoff syndrome. Nobody knew what Bernie was doing. If you had any idea what to do with money, you never would have given him a penny because nothing made sense. And yet, major stars, major Jewish organizations, majors got taken from him because one told another, Women, on the other hand, they'll always ask for directions. They'll always say, I don't understand. Can you tell me it again? So women are very, very different in what the goal of money is for them versus a man, what the goal of money is for him.
So what do you think the goal is for men then?
Men, the goal, I have to tell you, really is for them to have money, for them to be secure, for them to be able to have their boy toys. It's a very different thing. Men have no problem asking for a raise, not wanting to go back to work for less than. During the 2008 debacle here in the United States and really worldwide because of it, you found men that were making $200,000-$300,000 a year, and they refused to go back once they lost their job to work for $80,000 a year. They would not do it. They would rather just sit at home and starve. Women, on the other hand, if they were making $100,000 or $200,000 a year and they lost their jobs, they went and they became a waitress, a bartender. They did anything and everything to be able to support their family. So men, have a very, very different relationship with their money. And, again, like I said, in terms of investing, I personally think many men are horrific investors because they like to be more speculative. They like to brag about it, in my opinion, but they really don't understand it as well as they should. Women, they will take money off the table. They rather own their home outright. Men do not want to own their home outright because they would rather take that money and invest it than see it rot in a home. So it's, again, those are just a few of the examples.
Well, also, I think we've seen academic studies have shown that women are better at investing than men. They seem to score slightly higher just in terms of their overall returns. Would you attribute it to the same personality traits that you're describing now?
I would, because women make an investment. They've already decided why they want to invest. And if women are afraid on any level, I have a saying that fear, shame, and anger are the three internal obstacles to wealth. So when women are afraid to do something, they don't do it. And they're not ashamed to be afraid. They're not ashamed to cry. They're not ashamed of those emotions. Men, on the other hand, can be really afraid to do something, but yet they're going to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. So when you're afraid and you make an investment, when it goes from 30 all the way down to 10, now your fear kicks in, and that's when you sell. Women, on the other hand, who weren't afraid, it goes from 30 to 10. They still like the investment. They still understand it, and they hold on to it. And before you know it, it goes from 10 all the way up to 100. Mm-hmm. So I did a study once with my own clients that I bought everybody, obviously, the same stock at the same price. And there were some that sold when it went down and lost money, and there were some that kept it and made money. And those that sold mainly were men. And when I asked them, when they purchased the investment to begin with, were they afraid to do it, but they were just afraid to tell me they didn't want to do it? And they all said yes.
Really?
The women, on the other hand, when I said, were you afraid when you made this investment and they made money? Right? Said, no, I really loved the idea, Susie, and I had faith in it. See the difference there?
Sure. I think that people have many different ways of looking at money. We're talking at Suze Orman, who has taught millions of people how to look at money. She's a best-selling author, financial advisor. In fact, formerly a face-to-face financial advisor before she got into the world of teaching many, many more people than she could teach just one at a time. Susie, one of the things I know that you talk about is this concept of people first.
Yeah.
In my day job as a financial advisor, I'll often talk to clients who come in, and it's funny, this man-woman distinction you're describing, I don't necessarily have specific academic evidence, but I just see it when I talk to people, is the men sit down and they'll say, well, Doug, how much money are you going to make me? And I always try to, turn the conversation to talk about things like, what do they want to do? What are their goals, and where do they want to be? And usually these conversations go better when it's only a woman in the room, because she's happy to talk about what her goals are. And she may not want to sit and talk to me about how much money can I make, because who the heck knows? When you talk about this concept of people first, is that what you mean?
No. When I say people first, then money, then things, which was my slogan that I signed off for 14 years on the Suze Orman Show when I had it on CNBC, I was mainly talking to the women. Women, you need to put yourself first. You need to take care of your needs first. And if you take care of yourself first, then the most important thing is to do that you need money before you can buy things. Because I found over all the 35 years that I've been doing this is that people had more things in their closets than money in their bank account. Another fascinating thing, we would total up everything in somebody's house and what it cost just in their closets. And it was always more than they had in savings.
Unbelievable.
Which is like, what are you talking about, people? Are you just totally screwed up or what? So that's where that saying came from. But what's interesting is that women love to be secure. And they want to know that they have their documents in place today to protect their tomorrows. Good luck getting a man to want to go and do a trust, do a will, say where everything's to go upon their death. So women have a far more slower approach to security because, Doug, the truth of the matter is, what is the goal of money? The goal of money is to make you be secure. And
do you feel that's the woman's goal, or you feel that's everyone's goal?
That's everybody's goal, and if it's not, it should be. Mm-hmm. Right? But it's more of the woman's goal than a man's goal. And a man's goal is to make money, talk about the money they made, to play in the thing. And the truth is, the first question shouldn't be when somebody sees a financial advisor is how much money you're going to make me. It should be, what does it cost for me to give you money? The truth is, Doug, I don't even have money. I have $30,000 of credit card debt. I owe this much on my home. I have this. It's like I don't have any documents in place. And, they don't care about personally what they're doing, personal finance. They only care about investing in the stock market. And if you talk to a lot of these people, the truth of the matter is they have more debt than money to invest.
Well, don't you think this comes from the fact that one of the terms you've certainly used and many people do is they have the poverty mind, and instead of finding a way to get themselves out of it, they're just involved in this whole self-sabotaging neuroses of money instead of saying, what are the simple steps I can do? It's actually, for those of us who've been doing this a long time, we know it's actually not impossible to be personally financially successful, but yet people simply assume they can't or they sabotage themselves. How can normal people who are afraid, in fact, you mentioned the men, how can they really get themselves out of that pit in order to become much more successful?
Yeah. The only way to erase fear is to face your fear. And you have to face the truth of your life. You have to really stand in your truth. First of all, do you even have a good relationship to begin with? Because what's interesting is if you feel less than, you spend more than. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, have low self-worth, and low self-worth will always equal low net worth. Even if you make money, it will leave you. You'll lose it or you'll spend it. So it starts with going within to see, why are you doing without? Why do you buy things that you want but you don't need? And the great way for all of your listeners right now is to know about their money, is to go into your closets, everybody, especially the women listening, and look at all the items in your closets that still have price tags on them, that you had to purchase, and that, because you were afraid if you didn't purchase it at that moment, it wouldn't be there the next time you came back. You have shoes that you've never worn. You have makeup that you've never opened. Why is that? Why do you buy things that you never use?
Yeah, it sounds to me like the problem that people really need to start with is something they have to work on with their psychiatrist, and not necessarily going to their financial planner. Because if people are buying in order to help increase their self-worth, and of course that doesn't help them do it at all, it does the opposite. How do they get through this? What's the first step someone has to take to realize the problem so that he or she can overcome it? Yeah,
you first have to realize that you're the cause of why this is happening. And
not the government?
It's not the government, although the government, especially here in the United States, are you kidding me? It's if you don't have any money right now, good luck, people. Good luck. Because I don't even want to talk about what's happening here in the United States. It makes me want to throw up, to put it mildly.
We'll skip the politics for a few minutes.
It just does. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, ever. And every single politician on both sides of the table should be so seriously ashamed of themselves that it has gotten to the point that it's all self-serving and it has nothing to do with the people. Nothing.
But the point is not the government, is that each person has to watch out for him or herself.
Yeah, you have to have this desire to save yourself. And here's what's so sad. Normally that doesn't happen until you have hit rock bottom, until all of your credit cards are maxed out. All of your loans, if you're able to, from a retirement account have been taken. You have no place else to go to live a lie. And a lie is when you're leasing a car, your home is mortgaged to the hilt, the clothes that you wear are financed by the debt on your credit cards. If that's how you look like, $1 million, but yet you owe it to everybody, you are nothing more than a financial liar. And if you don't stop lying to yourself right now, Eventually, you will hit rock bottom, and then you will have no choice other than to turn around. So one little thing that people might want to try, especially if they're in debt or they don't have as much money as they wish they had, because you have to have money to invest, people. And if you have debt, you don't have money. Now, there's debt.
So what's the one step?
The one step is, from this day for the next 6 months, just vow that you will buy only needs versus wants. A need is food at a grocery store. A want is food at a restaurant. You know when you say, I want this, and you know when I say, I need this. If it's a want, walk away. If it's a need, then obviously you have to buy it. Right? So just try to get as much pleasure out of saving as you do spending. Just try that. Just try it on for size.
All right, that sounds like a great inspiration, great place for us to wrap up. Suze, in the last few seconds, just tell us, how is the best way for people to follow you and keep up with the newest things that you're doing these days?
Yeah, you can always follow me on SuzeOrman.com. That's SuzeOrman.com. And, for many people, I've taken like a year or two off now to try to create new instruments, Doug, with artificial intelligence, truthfully, that help people get in touch with who they are financially speaking, and to figure everything that you were asking me. I'm trying to figure out, how do we do a self-examination of a person to show where their financial flaws are, inwardly speaking, and then what can they do to conquer them so that they can be the people they deserve to be with money.
Okay, we will put a link to that at the show notes of today's show at moneytreepodcast.com. Suze Orman, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Anytime, Doug.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Check out all of Doug's money ideas at goldsteinongelt.com. Doug specializes in helping people who live outside the United States handle their U.S. investment accounts. If you have a question that you would like answered on the air or off, contact Doug at his website or send him an email to doug@profile-financial.com.